today's session of All Force e-learning program. Yesterday, regarding the measurement of temperature, we discussed about different thermometric properties. Thermometric property. Let me quickly brief those points we have studied yesterday. What is the thermometric liquid? A property, first let me say what is thermometric property. A property which is used to measure the temperature which changes considerably when because of change in temperature, that is known as thermometric property. As I told you, this temperature cannot be measured directly. So we are going to measure a property which changes with the temperature, and that is known as thermometric property. And this thermometric property is defined as a physical property of the material which considerably changes with the change in temperature. And out of that we have given some examples. Namely expansion of the materials. Number 2, variation of resistance with temperature, variation of color. Right. So there are so many properties, and even variation of EMF, thermo EMF. But most preferable one that we use in the day-to-day affairs of thermometers, that is expansion of liquids. Practically solids, liquids, gases, all the substances undergo expansion because of change in temperature. But expansions of liquids are very, very small, minute expansions only we can see in solids. So we do not consider them, but preferably we take expansion of liquids. Out of that and of course also gases. So there are liquid thermometers are there, gas thermometers are there. Liquid thermometers works on the principle of expansion of volume of mercury or any other liquid with increase of temperature. Whereas gas thermometers are based on expansion of volume or pressure of a gas with increase of temperature. So these are the better thermometers that practically we use. And in day-to-day life, in most of the cases, we use liquid thermometers. Then what type of liquid we have to use? So for the thermometric property, we said that liquids must have some important properties. Just I am repeating them. Number 1, the liquids you are going to use as a thermometric liquid must have very small specific heat, so that even a small amount of energy is given to it, change in temperature is large. Number 2, they must have large coefficient of expansion. That means they should expand more. Changes in volume should be more for the given change of temperature. Number 3, the expansion must be uniform, so that equal changes will take place for equal changes in temperature. That makes us convenient to measure accurately. So there should be uniform expansion. Number 4, the liquid must be clearly visible. And all these properties are available with mercury, because it has a large conductivity, so that very quickly it can take away heat energy and quickly the temperature will rise, so that you can measure the temperature very quickly using mercury thermometers. So basically remember that mercury is the only metal which is present in the liquid state at room temperature. It has a large boiling point. Because it is a metal, it has important properties so that it can be used as a thermometric liquid. What are the important properties associated with mercury? Because it is a metal, it is having large conductivity, very low specific heats, and thermal expansion is very large. So because of this property, we said mercury can be used as a thermometric liquid. And because it is a metal, its boiling point is very high. What is the advantage? You can measure even very high temperatures using this mercury thermometers. Whereas alcohols are also used to measure the temperature in liquid thermometers, but thing is, alcohols evaporate even for much higher temperatures. Right? Even for a little bit higher temperature, all the alcohols will be evaporated, so it cannot be present in the liquid state. So the use of liquid thermometers using alcohol is limited to a maximum temperature. It cannot use very high temperatures using alcohol thermometers. But whereas very high temperatures also can be measured using this mercury thermometer, because boiling point of mercury is very very high. So that is what we have learned yesterday regarding thermometric property and measurement of temperature. Now today let us discuss about the scales of temperature. Scales of temperature. What are the different scales of temperature? How we devise them? Number one, we use different scales of temperature like centigrade scale. Centigrade scale. Number two, Fahrenheit scale. Fahrenheit scale. Number three, a Reamer scale. So like this we use three types of scales generally. Then what is the difference between generally the scale we use to measure the length of a body? Then what are these scales? Centigrade scale, Fahrenheit scale and Reamer scale. Now how these scales are devised, if you understand about them, definitely we come across we can understand what are these difference between the scales. In an ordinary scale, suppose it is graded in centimeters, you will have 0 at one point, after that you will have 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter, 3 centimeter. So in between them again every centimeter is divided into millimeters. So you can understand that when you take the scale, that distance between two successive lines, suppose it is 1 millimeter, and using that you can take the reading of the length of a body or anything you can measure, because we know that distance between two successive lines is 1 millimeter. And this type of making the marks on the scale is called graduation or graduating. Graduation, that means you are making the graduations on the scale, and this divisions to be made on the scale, we can in case of ordinary length, by taking any standard scale we can make the measurements. But in case of temperature scales, how we achieve that? How we achieve? Practically, to make these measurements using a temperature scale, all these scales are based on expansion of mercury, as we said. And how this expansion of mercury can allow us to make different scales. Practically, how these scales are developed is, we take mercury at the lowest temperature we know. Practically, when these scales are devised, when these temperature scales are devised, the lowest temperature we know, that is the melting point of ice. Melting point of ice. This is the smallest temperature that is known. Below that we don't have practically. At the time of these scales, preparation of these scales, the smallest temperature we know is the melting point of ice. Right, that is the melting point of ice is the lowest temperature. And there is a highest temperature which is the boiling point. The boiling point of water. These are the lowest and highest temperatures that we know. At the time when you are devising these scales of temperature, the smallest temperature is melting point of ice, and largest temperature is boiling point of water. Now, to prepare these scales, what we do is, let us take melting ice in a container. This container has melting ice. And now, in a narrow capillary tube, we take mercury. We take mercury in a narrow tube. That means the cross section will be very small. And that narrow tube is taken and that is placed inside the melting ice. Suppose we take this glass tube containing mercury, it is filled with mercury and closed at both the ends, and it is placed like this. So that the mercury is present inside here. Suppose this contains mercury here. That mercury part is present inside the melting ice. When it is present in melting ice, the temperature of the mercury after some time also becomes equal to temperature of the melting ice, because there will be a thermal communication. Yesterday we discussed, when hot liquid is placed in the glass in a container at the room temperature, after some time it is coming to the room temperature. Clearly there is a thermal communication. From the hot liquid you have taken, energy is transferred to the surroundings, and finally both are coming to the same temperature. Similarly, when you are placing the mercury present here in the glass tube in the melting ice, after some time the temperature of the mercury will be equal to the temperature of melting ice. Suppose in that condition mercury level is present up to this point. So this point is noted where mercury is present when the temperature of mercury is exactly equal to the melting point of ice. So this is known as a lower fixed point. Lower fixed point, that is nothing but the least temperature that is present here. Now that is nothing but lower temperature or lower fixed point. It is nothing but the melting point of ice. Melting point of ice. This is the lower fixed point. Now this melting ice is heated. We have supplied heat. When heat is supplied to it, what happens? Ice melts. Ice melts into water. After that, still let us supply heat. Temperature of water will increase, and let us heat this water until the water boils. Water boils. Initially we have taken melting ice, and this melting ice, the mercury is placed in the melting ice, and now when the temperature of melting ice becomes equal to the temperature of this mercury becomes equal to that of melting ice, we made a point here. It is noted here. A mark is made on this glass tube that corresponds to melting point of ice. We named it as lower fixed point. Now by supplying heat energy, this ice is converted into water, and further it is heated until the water boils. It is heated until water boils. That means it is a boiling water present here. In that condition, the temperature of mercury also becomes equal to the boiling point of water. That is the highest temperature we know. Then because of increase of temperature, mercury also expands. Volume of mercury will increase. As the cross section of this capillary tube is constant, we can say volume is equal to length of the mercury level into the area of cross section. Because area of cross section is constant for this tube, we can consider that volume of mercury is proportional to length of the mercury column. So as volume is increasing now, because of increase of temperature, the level of mercury will expand. And suppose the mercury goes to a point up to a point here, and this is the level of mercury. From this point, mercury is expanding up to this position. And let us again make a mark here when the temperature of mercury corresponds to the temperature of boiling point of water. So when the temperature corresponds to the boiling point of water, this is the level of mercury. That means from this lowest position corresponding to melting point of ice, the mercury is expanding to this level, and this corresponds to the boiling point of water. This is the boiling point of water, and this we call it as upper fixed point. Upper fixed point. Upper fixed point corresponds to boiling point of water, and lower fixed point corresponds to melting point of ice. So these are the lowest and highest temperatures. Corresponding to the lowest temperature, this is the level of mercury in the capillary tube, and corresponding to the highest temperature, that is boiling point of water. This is the level of mercury in the capillary tube. So let us first note these marks. The marks we have noted now corresponding to lower fixed point and higher fixed point. Now in different scales, the marks taken are divided into different ways. That is, this corresponding to the melting point of ice, I will take the Celsius or centigrade scale. The Celsius or centigrade scale, this lower fixed point is taken as 0. The lower fixed point, that is melting point of ice, is taken as 0. And the length, the point corresponding to the melting point, the boiling point of water or upper fixed point, this is taken as 100. That means the temperature corresponding to melting point of ice, we named it as, remember, we named it as 0 or 0 degree centigrade, 0 degree Celsius or 0 degree centigrade. So in terms of centigrade scale, what we can say is melting point of ice is 0 degree centigrade. And corresponding to the highest position of mercury, that is corresponding to this upper fixed point, we take it as 100 degrees centigrade. That means the expansion from this position to this position, let us say this is A, this is B, the expansion between A to B, this is divided into 100 parts. This is divided into 100 parts. So that this is 0 degrees centigrade and this corresponds to 100 degrees centigrade in centigrade scale. So if this expansion, let us say the distance between A to B, it is x. The expansion of a distance x of mercury corresponds to 100 degrees centigrade. 100 degrees centigrade. But in Fahrenheit scale, we represent this by 32 degree Fahrenheit. 32 degree Fahrenheit. The lowest temperature corresponding to melting point of ice in Fahrenheit scale is noted as 32 degrees. And highest point corresponding to boiling point of water, what we named as upper fixed point, it is taken as 212. It is taken as 212. So this expansion corresponds to 212 minus 32. The expansion is the same, but lower fixed point it is named as 32 and upper fixed point is named as 212. So this corresponds to a expansion of 180 degrees here. The same expansion in centigrade scale, it corresponds to 100 degrees, whereas this is taken as 32 in Fahrenheit scale and the upper fixed point is taken as 212 in Fahrenheit scale, so that the expansion is divided into 180 parts. In centigrade scale, we divided this expansion into 100 parts only, but here it is made 180 parts. 180 parts. And there is one more scale called Reaumur scale, and Reaumur scale, here we take it as 0 only, 0 degrees Reaumur only, and this is named as 80 degrees. 80 degrees. That means in the Reaumur scale, the melting point of ice is named as 0 only, just like centigrade scale, but the upper fixed point corresponding to boiling point of water, it is taken as 80. That means the expansion of mercury between these points corresponding to lower fixed point and upper fixed point, that is the length of expansion is x. This corresponds to only 80 parts. That means the distance between these 2 points on the scale, on this capillary tube, it is made 80 parts. 80 parts only. Therefore, in centigrade scale, the expansion corresponds to 100 degrees centigrade and the same expansion corresponds to 180 degrees in Fahrenheit scale, and the same expansion corresponds to 80 parts in Reaumur scale. That means the expansion of length x, the expansion of length corresponding to this x, it is divided into 100 parts in centigrade scale and 180 parts in Fahrenheit scale and 80 parts in Reaumur scale. So these are the main important scales that we can understand, and very clearly 100 parts of expansion in centigrade scale corresponds to 180 degrees Fahrenheit, because the changes, if you observe, this is 0 and this is 100. That means the temperature recorded by a centigrade scale or Celsius scale corresponding to melting point of ice is 0 and boiling point of water is 100. But the same two temperatures, that is melting point of ice and boiling point of water, are recorded in Fahrenheit scale as 32 and 212, and in Reaumur scale it is 0 and 80. So try to understand that the important thing is the same expansion, same marks A to B, the expansion of X of mercury, it is divided into 100 parts in centigrade scale and 180 parts in Fahrenheit scale and 80 parts in Reaumur scale. So width of the degree, that means if the expansion is let us say X, the same distance, this is let us say A, this is B, and this distance of expansion we said X. The same length of expansion of mercury X, it is divided into 100 parts in centigrade scale, 180 parts in Fahrenheit scale and 80 parts in Reaumur scale. That means very clearly the width of the degree you are making into number of parts like this, number of parts between A to B, but how many parts we are making here? 100 parts here. So each part means each degree centigrade. Each degree centigrade corresponds to, if this length is X, it corresponds to X by 100. Whereas in Fahrenheit scale, each part corresponds to an expansion of X by 180. And each degree or each part corresponds to only X by 80 in Reaumur scale. Very clearly, this is called 1 degree. So if you divide into 100 parts, this is the width of the degree. But if you observe here, width of the degree is very small, because if it is X by 100 here, it is X by 180. So width of the degree is very small in case of Fahrenheit scale, or less than that of width of the degree in case of centigrade scale. And finally, if you take Reaumur scale, it is divided into only 80 parts. So width of the degree will be highest in Reaumur scale, and width of the degree will be least in case of Fahrenheit scale. So this is an important point you have to remember. Width of the degree is largest in Reaumur scale and least in Fahrenheit scale in these three scales. So width of the degree is more in centigrade and less in Fahrenheit when you compare these two. Comparing these three, this is the largest width of the degree and this is the least width of the degree. And now, corresponding to these changes in temperature, suppose 100 degrees centigrade corresponds to 180 degrees Fahrenheit now, because the same expansion, it is divided into 100 parts here and 180 parts here. Therefore, 100 degrees centigrade corresponds to or equivalent to 180 degree Fahrenheit. They are equivalent to each other. That means 1 degree centigrade, if you consider, it becomes equal to, let me write here, 100 degrees centigrade corresponds to 180 degrees Fahrenheit. That means 1 degree centigrade corresponds to 180 by 100. Otherwise, it is 9 by 5. 9 by 5. Let me write. It's 9 by 5 degrees centigrade. Or it is nearly 1.8 degree Fahrenheit. That means 1 degree centigrade will be equal to 1.8 degree Fahrenheit. Which means that if you say the temperature is increasing by 1 degree centigrade in centigrade scale, correspondingly it will be increasing by 1.8 degrees in Fahrenheit scale. In both the changes are same, but the scale we are expressing in different scales. When you express the change in centigrade, it is only 1, but the same corresponding change, if you express in Fahrenheit scale, it becomes 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit. So like this, different scales we can convert from one scale to another scale. For example, if we increase the temperature by 10 degrees centigrade, suppose the change in temperature, let us say delta T is 10 degrees centigrade. corresponding to this, if you consider the change in temperature in Fahrenheit scale, every 1 degree change in temperature in centigrade scale corresponds to 1.8 degrees in Fahrenheit scale. So it corresponds to 18 degrees in Fahrenheit scale. So we can convert from one scale to other scale like this. Now, corresponding to these scales, because we have explained different scales, we have explained different scales of temperature, then the equivalence between the two scales we can explain from this equivalence. That is 100 degrees centigrade corresponds to 180 degrees centigrade Fahrenheit. So these conversions are important for us. And now let us stop in this class, and tomorrow in the next class we will discuss about conversion from one scale to other scales and equivalence between the different scales and some numericals also. So let us stop here today. Tomorrow we will continue.